Oh, all right, we're back. And I don't have my camera on. Wow, here it is. I had the lens cap on still. So, welcome back to Flux Harmonic. I'm David Wilson, and we're going to get back to the second part of today's Ludum Dare 51 game jam or compo entry. In the earlier stream today, what we were able to accomplish is just basically getting the basic game running. And oh, let me see. Can I just like run it real quick and show what it looks like? Or no? Let me just show you what it looks like so far, because that will be better than just me talking to you about it. So let's do this. It doesn't like me. Oh, there's a void. Okay, so empty val. Let's do that. Okay. Anyway, I'll show you in a minute when I get everything wired back up. The point being, we did make some progress this morning getting some things on the screen for our top-down dungeon crawler. It's going to be a very, very basic game, but the point is that we're trying to use the current features of Mesh, the language that I've been working on, to make a game within 2 days. We don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm trying to just strip everything down to be as minimal as possible. We did waste a lot of time, well, not really waste, but we spent a lot of time earlier trying to extend the capabilities of the language a little bit, because I ran into a limitation when I was trying to describe the game world in terms of the language itself. I had this huge list of numbers here, like maybe 600 something entries written directly in code, and the language is like, oh, that's too many. So I tried to fix that. It took a little bit too much time. I'll do it off stream another point, but point being, we did make some progress. Now, where we're leaving off from the last time is that I want to load the world data, basically a string like this that you see, like the ones and zeros, from a text file, and then turn that into the world data inside the game so that we can render a map that looks like this. So if you can see that there's a bunch of ones here, the ones all would represent walls in the dungeon, and then the zeros would represent the floor. There may be other numbers that we end up showing as well to place things in the world, like maybe traps or other things that might be interesting. But for now, it's just walls and floors, just enough to get a character walking around, maybe some items to pick up, etc. So what we're going to do, or what I was going to do right before we stopped the last stream, was to write a string splitting function. But then I realized, I was going to write it in C, but then because it was going to be more complicated to write it in C, with sort of the interplay between C and Mesh, I realized that now I have the capability to add 4 functions written in Mesh to the Mesh compiler for library itself. It's something that didn't exist the last time we did the game competition. So I'm going to take advantage of that capability to write the string splitting function in Mesh itself, not in C. So that should make things a little bit easier to write and also to read. So what we will need to do to accomplish that is not to have a string split function, but we will need to have something like a substring function. So I can say that, give me, let's see, string, substring, I don't really know exactly, or string range maybe. Give me a string between characters or indices 1 and 5 maybe. So it just takes a little slice of that source string. So I'm going to say str as the input string. Another thing we will want is an ability to get the character at a particular index. So maybe index number 3, we want to read the character that's there. Now, I don't have the concept of a character type, which I might need to add because I haven't really used it up until now, but characters have their own unique identity, unique utility. So it might stand to reason that you would want to have a type for that. Because otherwise you'll have to just do a comparison of a string against a single letter string, and that doesn't really feel right. But I also don't have a syntax representation for characters at the moment. So in a lot of languages, like even in C, you would have like single quotes that would give you a character. In Mesh, you don't have that. In Scheme, character, syntax, I think there is a specific syntax you can use, like, yeah, that's it. It's a hash mark slash, is that backslash? Hash mark backslash, and then the character itself. It's possible that I could add parsing for that. That might be my first little step toward having hash mark based types in Mesh, which is something I want to switch to. And that's a conversation for another day. But basically in Scheme, you have these character symbols, and you don't have quotation marks around these. These are actual literals in the language. So it's possible that I would add something like this, at least for the individual letters. So between string ref and string range, let's see. Let me see if I can find in Guile what they had their function call for getting a subsequence of characters. So select portions from strings, string length, substring. Okay, that sounds right. So scheme substring, that might be part of the, okay, yeah. So MIT scheme has that. And also it seems that other places might mention it. Might. Okay. Substring. Scheme. What? Okay. Shade scheme has a substring. Okay, fine. So we'll call that substring because it's pretty typical for schemes, substring. And then I'm pretty sure it's like string ref. Yes, string ref delivers individual characters, whereas substring can be used to extract substrings from longer strings. So we'll follow the design that is in Guile because we have documentation, and then maybe we can get something going with that. So the actual implementation in the string library would be something like, let's see, define, excuse me. Let's take a look. Split, any split? Maybe inside of string modification? No. Split. Iterating over strings. Okay, that's probably it. String map, string for each. Fold right, unfold right. Prefix, skip, contains. There's got to be like a Guile string split. It's very, very common to have a splitting routine. List string conversion. Okay, here we are. String split. Care pred as a predicate. Okay, I like that. Satisfy the predicate care pred if it's a procedure, or RN the care pred if it's a character set. What is a character? Okay, character set. Well, I only see one character being used here. Guile character set. Is it just a list? Oh, okay, here we go. Creating character sets. Filter X into a care set. Care set. Okay. All right. There you go. Care set, and then just a list of characters. Cool. All right. So that makes sense. We may not go that far. We may just have a list of characters if we have character syntax for that. But a predicate is actually better. I think I might go with that. And even instead of string ref, I could do substring to get a string back. So maybe string ref is not even needed at the moment. I could just do like a, 1-2 kind of deal there just to get one character out. So substring. What is the start end? Okay, so it's not a number. It's just an actual end index. The return string shares storage with str initially, but is copied as soon as one of the two strings is modified. That's interesting. I guess it makes sense, but Yeah. We don't have string modification in mesh right now. Probably is better that way. All right. So that's what we have for that. Then back to this thing, string split. We said it's the input string plus the split predicate. So the implementation would be loop, let loop. I don't know what Lispy's doing here. And then let's see, parts, which would start off as an empty list. We need an index also. So string length, str, index is 0. Oh, length should not be a parameter. It can be a parameter, it's fine. So then right down here, what we're going to do first is see if index is equal to length. If it is, we just return parts. So if length is 0 and index is 0, we just immediately return an empty list. Otherwise, we do some processing and then recurse into the loop function, ultimately. So I could even do this. I could do less than. How about that? Just to make things a little bit more nice looking, but perhaps. Little begin here. Let's go back. Let's do it that way. Sometimes it's easier to see the truth path being the one that returns, and then let this whole thing be under it. All right, so now so what we need to do is take a substring of str at index to index plus 1. We just want the one character. And then we're going to call that split predicate. Whoops. I don't know why Lispy's, acting foolish. So if this is true, then what we want to do is take the string piece. So we're going to set. No, we're not going to set. We're going to call loop. We'll call loop here. We're going to call loop either way. So interesting. We may not need to check an if here. We could do it nested. Let's just do this first, and then we'll refactor a little bit whenever we see what it's going to look like. So loop, and this is part. So we're going to cons the substring. Start index, current index. Let's move that down. Why can't it do the right thing? Dude, what's happening? Lispy. Did I put something in my configuration that's fighting with this? Something's really wrong. Let's see. I ought not to be having trouble with this right now. That's weird. Right, this is what it was. Right here. I'll just move it like that. Start index 0, current index 0. Let's change current index here. Okay. Then current index. So start index is going to be the start of whatever we consider the piece to be. So let's say substring start index plus index. No, hold on. Yeah, current index plus 1. So current index plus 1. We're getting the substring, and then let's see, substring of str. All right, so we're adding that to the list. So I need to go after substring here and put parts in. Okay, so that's the first parameter. The next parameter needs to be start index plus 1. The following needs to be current index plus 1. I think my keyboard is ghosting a little bit. It's kind of weird, actually. And then the fourth parameter is just plain old length. We're just passing it right through. I could have it let on the outside, but I'm trying to avoid having yet another lambda in here. So that's the truth case. The false case would be loop. Just passing parts right through, passing current index right through, because we're just keeping that index. We're going to add plus 1 to start index. And then also length is going to pass right through. Now, we're calling loop twice here. We probably don't need to do that. So let me just think about how I would approach this. We know it's true here. So if we were to move this into this position, I guess either way, I would have to do that. So maybe I'll just leave it like this. Note, this could probably be more elegant. Actually, let's put it up here to make it more obvious. But it's okay for now. All right. So I think this should be slightly sufficient. And then I need to get the final case as well. Actually, it's not going to be just as simple as parts here. So if start index, and let's say start index is less than current index, then we need to add one last part. Const substring str start index plus current index 1. Now, if I do that, we're gonna run outside the array boundaries, I think. And I don't want to do that. Maybe it just needs to be that without plus. So if we need to add the last one, we can do that. Otherwise, we just say parts here, and we're gonna put parts here. So if we reach the very end of the string and the start index is less than the current index, then we substring that string, add it to the parts list, and then we return that basically. Otherwise, we just return parts directly, and we don't need that there. All right. If we have a final segment, return it. Otherwise, return previous parts. Okay. I think that's right. Need to double check this. I might have to write some tests just to make sure that the behavior is correct based on what I expect to see. So I can do that. If I go into test / modules test. Oh, I don't have a string testing module. Nice. String.msc. Find test string. Import mesh string. Thought I had one, but maybe I don't. I'll copy this though. I need to get like a baseline. Then go back in a string to MSC for test. Paste this in. We're gonna add mesh string here. It's another new thing in mesh recently. I added basic test framework. It's a little unfortunate that I have all these lambdas nested inside. Whenever I have macros, I'll be able to hide all that. So it'll be nicer to look at because of that reason. All right, so let's test string split. Also need to test substring, I think. Let's make this an only test. Why did you indent it like that? Oh man, I don't have my updates to the grammar in my configuration. Did I push those? Here, I need to go to my other computer real quick and get this code checked in. I improved the mesh Emacs package such that it has better editing for stuff like the suite signatures. I just need to check that in. So if I go to mesh.el, projects code mesh Emacs. Okay. Add improved mesh, or add mesh mode. Okay. Let's see if this works. So if I were to say straight full package mesh, I don't excuse me, I don't have that in here yet, do I? Let's see, FDE mesh. Oof, I don't know how out of date my Emacs config is. I'll just try to add it in here. Mesh. I don't have anything in here for mesh. That's fun. I'm way out of date on my config. It's a problem of using a different machine for streaming. Okay, so MSC. Take that out. Come on now. So after the mesh heading here, I'm going to add, sorry, after scheme, I'll add mesh. EL setup package. How am I doing that? Package mesh. No. Let's edit this in a real editor. How about that? And host GitHub. No. Didn't tell you to do that. That's a symbol, but it's not quoted. Okay. Repo. Mesh. Lang mesh. Mesh.el. I believe that's what it's called. Mesh.el. GitHub. Yeah, mesh.el. Okay. So once I do that, I can then drop in and say with mode, mesh mode. And then inside of this, I can say file match.msc. Nope. Okay. And then inside of this block, I can say require mesh. Shouldn't have added that right there. Okay. We good? Clone that, see what happens. All right. So back in, come on now. Back in this file, I'll run mesh mode instead. And then maybe if I indent this, okay, puts it in the right place. Excellent. All right. So we got substring here, lambda verify returns the correct substring. Returns the requested substring. How about that? Requested. So to verify, we're going to have another lambda inside. Assert equal. Is that what I'm calling it? Yeah, assert equal. Mesh is cool. No. So substring. I know this does not seem like, you know, fun stuff to be doing while writing a game, right? But a necessary evil. Okay. So we want this to start at index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Index 10, leave off the second parameter. And then I want it to be just cool. Also, let's do another assert for having a specific endpoint. So 10, 11, 12, 13. So those two things should work whenever substring works correctly. Then for string split, let's just replicate what we're doing right now. We'll do assert equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we will say string split 1, 2, 3, new line, 4, 5. And the predicate will be a lambda. Let's drop this down to the next line. C. It's not really exactly what it's supposed to be, but we'll just stick with that for now. So lambda C equal C space or equal C new line. You know, there's another way to do this too. And that is memq C inside of the list of that and that. So that's pretty easy. A little bit cleaner. Okay, so that will give us a test for both these things that we want to add. And then I'm going to take out this other test here that we don't need. We have the append test that is not relevant. And we got this other test of some sort. Oh, no, I want that. Nil if the key is not found. That's not part of that test. Let's just shore up all these lines. There we go. Get some tests to verify the desired behavior for the string API functions that we need. I've got them marked with only here because I only want to run those. I'm going to jump into the test main file here and turn off the scanner and compiler suites. Oh, actually the VM suite too. I only want the mesh suite. And I need to go into test mesh and turn this test filter on because I only want to run the tags that are tagged by only. So we got that in string. We got it here in class too. Spam has arrived. Can't believe this. All right. Let's just try to run it, actually. So what I need to do is jump to this folder. Then I can run compile. And then I can run, I believe it's bin/run tests.sh. Nice. Maybe just run test.sh. Let's see. These functions don't exist yet, so it's going to choke immediately. Oh boy. Oh, yeah. Let's turn off the class tests. Is the class test? Yeah, let's take this only out for now. I don't want those to run. Why are they running still? Oh, it's probably because I just loaded up the module. Okay. So core seek sublist starting with a specified key. What I'm missing is an import in this file. I can also do an import on string. I need to go into core because apparently I left in an only right there, which I don't need anymore. All right, let's see here. Yes, we have a crash, probably because, oh, undefined variable suite. I forgot to pull in the test library. So in test string, I'll pull in this library. Okay. That's only the first problem. Now I got to implement the behavior. Undefined variable suite still. Test mesh suite, undefined variable suite in line 5. I just pulled it in, did I not? Huh. That's strange. Hey, Alejandro. We are adding string splitting functionality to mesh because we needed to load up game data from a file. Surprisingly, it's something that I don't have yet. All right. Interestingly, it doesn't seem to complain that it can't load the module, but I think it's loading the other modules because it ran those tests and they succeeded. So very weird. I'm importing mesh test. I think, oh, this is wrong. Why did it not complain about that syntax? Substring. There we go. Finally. All right. So we need to implement substring. That's fine. We're going to do it now. String.c. We'll change this to string substring. We will go here to string split. Take that out because we don't need it anymore. We need substring instead. Substring. String substring. Then inside of substring, we have number. That's not a number. It's a value. What is number? It's just straight up value, right? Okay. Value start index as number. So that's required. And then there can possibly be a value for end index, but let's see, arg count equals arg count greater than 2, I think. It's greater than 2, then we need to read as number args 2. Otherwise, would need to be the length of as C string args 0. That's a little bit nasty looking, but that should give us the right thing we want. Oh, this needs to be a number. Okay. As number. Number val. Okay. No. How do I get the number out? I guess that's it. Int. Cool. Implicit declaration. Do I need a string? Oh, I have string to, no, different string to age. Ooh. It's not length, it's strlen. Okay. So now this also will be an int. So now I have the string and I have the start index and the end index. So do I already have something for this? I feel like I have a function for this already. Join list, append, join. Number to string. Somewhere there's a function for this. Is it an object? Chars length. Huh. I could actually do that. Yeah, I think I can just use make string and copy the characters over. How about that? Let's see. Go here, return object val, mesh object, make string. There you go. VM star mem. The character list, it's not going to be const. Wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if it was const. str chars. And we're going to give it the start index. There's some weird ghosting going on with this keyboard. I don't get it. And then length would be end index or start index or end index minus start. Man, I am not typing right. Okay. I think that's good. We're going to find out real fast because the substring function has tests. And if the tests are wrong, okay. Make string, object C, line 73. Let me double check what I'm doing here. Let's print some things out. Range, D to D. That was meant to be D. That's not meant to be D. This is meant to be D. All right. Then we are going to take start index, end index. Maybe we'll say str chars start. Man, is it just my fingers doing that or is it the keyboard? Hard to tell. Not even printing it. And it looks like, I'm doing something wrong here. Alejandro says, what about substrings that don't start at 0? Does mesh object make string copy the bytes? It should, because I'm giving it the location of the character list. Well, maybe I should use ampersand there. So I want the address where the of the character list at the start index. And this also probably needs to be there. That might choke though. If I dereference it. Nah, that should be fine. But it's not fine though, as we can see. Oh. Okay, at least it says objects were not equal. So I wonder what it actually got. I need a better printer when the values are not the same. Let's do this. Mesh. Well, no. Just copy this whole thing. Nope, nope, nope. There we go. So mesh value print. Okay. Let's see if it prints anything out that we can discern here. Okay. Oh, wow. So it has cool exclamation point and then COO again. That's not right. I need it to print out the start and end index because I think maybe I'm getting that wrong. Let's just do that. Range 99 to 10. That sounds perfect. And start index is definitely not 99. I don't know how he got 99 out of that. So arg1. Oh, my mistake. 10 is correct. Take that out. 10 to 13. Interestingly, why did it do that? (10 to 15), 10 to 13. Maybe it did work on the first one because the second one did run. Let me go to the test. So 10, 11, 12, 13. We start at 10. It takes up to the end of the string. We start at 10, and we say we want 10 to 13. 10, 11, 12, 13. I think we need +1 on the index whenever it comes from here. I could be wrong about that, though. +1. Let's see. Range. Oh, it passed. Okay. So let's take that out. Let's take this out. Start it again. So now I think we have a working substring at a basic level. So I'm pretty happy with that. It wasn't too hard. So now for string split, undefined variable string split, I'll bet money I did not export it. So let's go to string.msc from the actual library. Yes, I did not export it. So here we are. Let's see what string split does. Undefined variable string length. Did I change that, the length somewhere? What about core? No. Did I? No. Okay. String.c length. Where's the length function? Array length. Okay. I must have had a string length function, but I might not have actually. Because I've never done any string processing. String length. Oh, okay. That's the code that I just wrote. Okay, fine. Well, that's something we can add easily. String length. String length. Okay, and I'll just delete this real fast. I can just copy this as well. String length. Sometimes I'm surprised at the things that I have not actually gotten around to implementing yet. Pretty funny. And here we're going to return a number val of strlen of str cares. And I think that ought to be enough to make that function work. Uh-oh. The fact that this hangs tells me that I might have a bug in my logic because it's not actually completing the loop. So let's take a little look here at this part. So display current index is, wow, the DX thing just keeps on happening. Display current index. Display new line. Okay. There we go. Current index is not being increased. And why not? Oh. That's the reverse of what I want to happen here. So this should be +1. This should not be +1. Start index should stay the same in that position. All right, here we go. Okay. There we go. At least it's getting through the list, but it's not giving us the result that we're looking for. I need to do some intermediate prints to see what we're missing. We are getting through the string. I guess it's that many characters long. Maybe if I print out the substring value at this point, I'll be able to tell. So display the substring is... I wonder how hard it would be to add a format function. Substring is 5. Okay, this is probably right. Let me get rid of that current index stuff because it's sullying the output. Interesting. The substring is space. Okay, it's 1. The substring is space 2. The substring is 2. Current index plus current index. Sorry, current index and then current index plus 1. This is not what I expect to see here. Why? Is there space 2? Must have something wrong with how I'm approaching this. Current. Oh, okay. Interesting. I'll bet money this has a space after it. Yeah, okay, so... All right, this needs to not be +1. This needs to be just current index. I wonder if that's correct behavior. Okay, substring is 1, substring is space. Fine. I think that this looks right. You know, I wonder what Guile does. If I were to go to vterm, Guile, oh, I'm inside the shell. Let's get out of that. Guile. Can I get to substring from here? Cool. Substring, foo, 1, 1. Nothing. So it needs to have that +1. Okay, good to know. I need to replicate that behavior. So this does need to be +1, actually. Oh. Yeah, that's right. I need to make this work with +1. So in the substring implementation, what is the problem that prevents that from happening? When okay, I guess either of them. I'm already adding 1 to it. So let's say I passed in this 1 and 2. So I get the number for the argument, which would be 2. Add 1 to it. Then I subtract that, which is 3, from the first position. It's not right. This +1 should not be there. Because this already is higher than, in theory, higher than, which, you know, now I should probably verify. Verify that this is higher than start index. Or maybe, let's just do it this way. Verify that start index. Oh, end index is higher. Okay. So 2 minus 1 should be 1. Right here, we're saying 2 minus 1, that should be 1. We will only want one character out of the input. We start at start index. So the fact that it doesn't work as expected means there's a bug somehow. If I were to go back into the test, try to run it again, compiler. Yeah, it's failing now because the strings aren't equal. And if I were to write out what the string actually was, it probably would tell me that it's one character less than I expect, which is very weird. Okay, let's throw a little line before that too. I could probably do some string appends here, but so going to the end of the string seems to work, but specifying a final location does not seem to work. But maybe I'm putting in the wrong value. Let's actually try this in Guile, because if this is the same behavior in Guile, then maybe it's fine. So vterm, Guile. Ah, it's the same. So it has to be 14. It's non-inclusive. Good to know. So that has to be considered whenever someone's using this function. So if this is index 10, 11, 12, 13. So we want to be beyond 13, so we have to give 14. All right, fine. Go back over to compilation buffer. That test should now pass. And then now this is working again correctly. All right, so let's go back to the string split implementation and see what we're doing wrong. Yeah, Alejandro says, like ranges in Rust, non-inclusive. Okay. Good to know. Man, we really got to make some progress here. I'm spending time on stuff that really is not necessary to make a game. So for each character, we run the split predicate. So let me try this actually. I'm going to run split predicate on the substring as it comes through. Let's see if it returns true or false. All right, so that's cool. So it returns the first. Okay, it returns a list. And I think that's the new line, potentially. Or what is it actually? Ah, yeah, fine, whatever. Mimq may not be the perfect function to use for that, but it's fine. It doesn't really matter. So substring is nil. Ah, I think I'm backwards. So let me. So if string predicate is true, then it needs to grab the substring and add it to the list. Now, I don't know what's actually being returned here. Alejandro says, split on pattern string or upon an index. We're splitting on a delimiter string that's being passed in. So if you see the actual use case in the test file, I'm saying, well, we're splitting on a function that tells whether, you know, it's what we're looking for or not. So string split is just returning every character of the string as a string, basically, to this lambda. And then whatever, if this returns any value other than nil, then it's considered to be one of the split characters. So it gives you the arbitrary ability to split on characters. or split on whatever you want. Substring is, yes, it returns a list. I just need to print out what the result is going to be so I can have a good look at it. Right up here is where I should do that. Now, I can do that in the test. So let's just take this, do the same thing. So display, new line. Nope, nope. Curious what that's going to print out. Well, so far nothing. Oh, wait. That's a little confusing. Let's go back to string.c. Where was I printing that stuff? Display right there. Let's take that out. I'm very confused by what I'm looking at here. I think I'm not maintaining the indices correctly. Does this display need an extra N? No, I think that I'm just getting some really weird output. This is the place where I'm adding things to the list, so maybe I can do a little begin here. And take this part. Display pushing. I know I didn't spell that right. All right, so pushing 1, pushing 2, pushing 2, 3, which is totally incorrect. Not managing the indices correctly. So when we push something, we say we're adding the substring at the start index to the current index. Oh, wrong. This is why. Current index plus 1. Still looks terrible. Hold up. Why is it going 1, 2, 3 again? The split predicate is true. Ah, this is wrong. This should not be plus 1. This should be current index. And the reason why is because we don't want it to include current index. Let's try that. And let's take a look at what's at the end of the line here. Yeah, all right, so it doesn't have an extra string, which means I need to fix this actual part here. Take out the 1. Five, 3, 4. Oh, I'm consing. So it's putting it in backwards order. But that still has a new line, which is wrong. But we're making progress though, I think. And interesting. Maybe memq is not the right approach. Let me go to the test function and not use memq. Oh, I'm doing it twice. Okay, that's why it's bizarrely printing twice. New line 4, 5. So instead of memq, we're just going to do an or equal c space and equal c new line. Maybe this will be a bit more reliable. 5, 3, 4. Is there still a new line there? That's not right. Oh. I need to print out the erroneous value at the end, but let's just get this working first. Hey, Fikri. So I'll answer your question in just a moment. Okay. So the problem is that I need to reverse at the end. So, and the string.msc, I think append is probably worse than reverse. So we're just going to use reverse, I think, to return the parts. If it's less, whoa, what just happened? Okay. Now this should put it in the right order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 3 is still catching that new line, which is really weird. Split predicate. Oh, hold up. That's also wrong, isn't it? No, that's right. Start index to current index. Yeah, that's right. Pushing 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Oh. I see. It's treating 3 new line 4 as a single item, which is obviously wrong. We're almost there. Once this works, then we can get back to the game coding. So I don't know why this isn't turning out right, unless it thinks it's 2 characters, which it shouldn't. Mesh is supposed to treat that as a single character. But I'm kind of interested. Display length. String length of a new line. One. Okay. Alejandro says, is it checking if space or new line and advancing to the token to the next index? Yeah. So in the implementation, right here, we say if split predicate is true for the substring, so basically it's the character at the current index, it's just going to pull the character at the current index. So theoretically, if a new line is considered 1 character, actually, let's do this. And then display the substring, then display that, and then new line, just so we can see the boundary of the character. This, whoa, how to break this? Oh yeah, this needs to be inside the begin. No, actually, excuse me. It needs to be outside in this begin. All right, cool. I already had some prints here for that, obviously. Fine, let's do this. Yes. Care is... Okay. So, it's doing the right thing. So it gets the right char. The char is space or the char is new line. For each one. So then, if it's a new line, returns true. We take the substring of start index versus current index, which still should be... All right, so let me step through mentally what's happening. From the previous part of the string, that's 2 space 3. When we hit the space character after 2, it runs this code path, which says current index plus 1, which puts us at 3. This says the start index is going to be at 3, and then the current index is going to be at 3. So the next time we go through the loop, we grab the split predicate, which finds the 3, and then it hits this path where start index stays the same, and then current index gets added to 1. So then we go through the next one, it hits the new line character, and that returns true. So then it goes into this path where we take the substring of start index, which should be at where 3 is, and then current index is which one character after that. The reason why I do it twice is because this loop has 2 parameters for index. One is start index, which is like the start character that we're going to take the piece of the string, and then current index is where we're looping through looking at each character. So start index should start at the location of the last non-delimiter, and then when we find a delimiter, we're taking the substring from that start index to the current index, which should give us everything up until that current index. So in theory, that should give us only 3, not 3 plus the new line. Maybe I'm just misreading the output, but the test doesn't pass. So it's telling me that 3 does have a new line attached to it. It's either a new line or a space. Yes, it's end of line, so that means there's a new line there. I don't know how it's piggybacking on. And if I go back and look at the actual input string in the test, 1, 2, 3, new line 4, space 5. Oh, and this is also incorrect. This should be strings. Ah. It's going to annoy me if this actually makes a test pass, though. Okay, didn't pass. You increment twice over current index. Do I? I have to go past current index. I mean, that's the only way I can continue iterating through the loop. This is not incrementing twice because this is an expression that's going into the parameter of start index here in the loop. So I'm using the value of current index plus 1 for the new value of start index, because I'm trying to skip over the current index, which is the delimiter string. That's really annoying. Okay, let's try this instead, just to see if it's something specific about new line. If I were to take that out and make it space, it makes it pass, which is annoying. Now, I bet this won't pass. Watch this. I put 2 spaces in there. It's going to choke. So, yeah, I need a way to know that we don't actually have a current. Maybe if the values are equal. Okay, how about that? If split predicate and... Nah, it has to be a certain way. Whenever you encounter space or new lines, skip it. Yeah, I'm trying to do that. Maybe it just needs to be inside here. So inside this, well, no. Yeah. Right here, this is where I need to not mess with it. And you need to verify on every care. So if equivalent start index, current index, then I just put parts through. I don't add anything, don't try to make any kind of changes. Otherwise, I take the string. So if the first character in the string is the delimiter, then we just skip it. We don't try to add anything. If the second character is not a delimiter, then we set the start index there. If the third character is a delimiter, then we make the substring, and then we set start index and current index to the same value. If the fourth character is a delimiter, or if any characters after that are delimiters, then it should just continue looping through and setting start index and current index to the same value. And that should keep us from adding things that are not relevant. So let me see what this does. So it seems that does work. Whoa. We'll double check it in the test file. Oh, wait. Ah, right here. Yeah, so that worked. Isn't this easier to implement in C? I don't know. I don't think so. Because the delimiter check is sort of the thing that gets more complicated. In C, certainly I can just call string toke. That's no fun. But I do need to support, checking for new lines in here, because the actual input file, let me show you the input file that I'm dealing with. I need to read this whole file in, and it has spaces between the numbers, and it has new lines at the end of every line. This basically represents a map in the game. I'm trying to read in this string from the file, split it into individual strings for each number as a list, and then turn those into integers, and then I'll have my map data. So I'll be able to edit these map files effectively as text files. And the reason why I have to do this is because I originally tried to set these lists in mesh, and then I ran into a limitation in mesh where I couldn't have so many constant values in a function. So now we're having to go the long way around to get back to that. But if I'm adding new functionality to the language and the standard library at the same time, it's not really a problem. It just takes time. I would rather be writing code. But let me just go ahead and tell you right now, I don't care if I actually get a game done by the end, because really the goal here is to flesh out the needs of the tooling to actually try to make a game. And if we make some progress, that's great. If we don't really get a game done, I'm not going to sweat over it too much. Why don't you wrap each line in parens and evaluate that? Because I don't have the ability to do that right now. I don't have a read function. If I had a read function, I would totally do that. And I'm not going to write one right now because I'm planning to rewrite the parser soon to support macros. So I'm just not going to bother with that at the moment. So let's see. There's got to be a simple explanation for why this is the case, because this is not two characters. This is one character in terms of what mesh sees. So it's kind of strange that it does this. This should not be treated as one character, like the 3 and 4. How about this? I'm going to move the ordering of that. Actually, do it here too. Maybe I should do that in a left block. No, yeah, need to fix this. Same thing here. Let's make sure it's not some kind of weird bug. Okay, so it's still doing the same thing. So pushing 1, pushing 3. It's not catching that character right. I think it doesn't recognize the new line. So why not? I think equal is doing the wrong thing here. You know what? I bet money I know what the problem is. This has nothing to do with how the characters are being read in. I think that this is a string interning problem. Let's go into object.c. So the way that I do string equivalents right now is that all strings that get created are put into a big table. And when you create a new string in Mesh, it finds another instance of the exact same string and gives you that copy back. And if you have two strings that have the same set of characters in them, they're effectively the same instance of string. And that's what's called interning. Basically, you can very easily compare two strings, not by looking at the contents, but just by looking at the pointer to the string object. So what I think is happening is that there is some string escaping work going on in here, and somehow it's avoiding being interned correctly. Finish initializing the string. Is a string already interned? Something is wrong with the comparison for interning, I think. Return the intern string. Yeah, something's definitely going on there. I mean, I could obviously write a string equal function, which I suppose I probably should, because it'll be needed at some point. Not all strings should be interned because it adds extra burden to the compiler. Symbol should be interned, certainly. Individual strings, I'm not so much. I don't know if it's not escaped or if the comparison that checks for interning gets it right, because right here, when I create a string, you can see that I actually do the escape sequence checking. So I'm looking for, /n right here. If I find it, I put the actual /n character in. String chars. Oh, excuse me. And then object string hash string chars length string length hash. What does object string hash do? Okay, it just gets a hash value. Now, it has the hash based on what? Based on string chars. String chars has already been mutated at this point. Let's check. Oh, interesting. Hold up. Okay, length did get set right. But what I wonder is if something about escaping is affecting the hash. Like the hash is not the same for two instances of a new line character. Also, we really should not be interning, interning everything. Let's see, what does Guile have for string equivalence checks? String comparison. String equal question. C string equal. It's not so simple as just saying equal. Okay, string compare. Okay. I can just use that. So I could make a string equal function really fast. String.c, string, let me see, append. Yeah. Join. Here, we'll just do this. Okay, so string 1, string 2, return, I guess bool. What does it return? Returns T if they're same length and contain the same characters, otherwise return F. Okay. So string compare. Let's Let's see. Whoops, I lost that documentation. Okay, string 1, string 2, cool. String 1 cares. String 2 cares. And then we also need to check that this is 0, right? Because 0 is the value that tells us that they're equal. So now, if I jump down here, I can say string equal question mark. I'm not so crazy about that name, and I hope that my parser can actually handle that right now. In fact, let's go check that out. I'm not sure. Scanner.c equal sign. Ah, crap. Equal. Okay, so yeah, it will be able to pick up that identifier. That's good. Okay, so string equal question mark. I think that should be okay. So let's go back to our test. And then instead of what we were doing here, we're going to say string equal. String equal. I can even put this back down. And then here we go. 2 passed. Still does weird stuff here, though. But it's getting the right result. That is weird. Pushing 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I mean, it seems right. Oh, yeah, because this one I'm using the wrong function for that. Okay. So it works. We just have to use the right kind of search. And maybe to make things easier, string split should also support generating a predicate based on a list of input strings, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So this should be good enough to go and split that input. So let's go right back into game. No, in fact, go to world.msc. All right, we're almost about to get back into game coding. Finally. All right, so world string has been read from the file by this point. Let world data string split. Also, world data. I want to translate this to numbers. So string to number. Let me see. I do have a string to number, right? If I go to string.c. Oh, wow. Number to string. I don't have string to number. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a number. I can just look for the string value. Which is unfortunate, actually. I can do a basic string to number, but I think that it's going to need some more, let's see, conversion, string list conversion. That's probably not what I'm looking for. String to list. Miscellaneous string operations. Xcopy, tokenize. Okay, guile, string to number. Conversion. There it is. Okay, string to number, string. Number of the maximally precise representation expressed by the given string. Radix must be an exact integer. I'm not going to worry about radix right now, but I can't deal with floats. So for now, our string number is going to be stupid, and it will string to number MSC. All right, so number to string. And then string to number. Ah, you know what? Maybe there's something I can use in. So A to I, C. Versus string argument to an integer. Now, I think I ran up against a problem with like there not being an A to F in C. Oh, there is an A to F. Actually, this is what we need because our number type is double internally. Do I have A to F in here somewhere already? No. Okay. Cool, no problem. So now what we'll do is pull out the string argument, then A to F, str chars, return number val. Okay, maybe that's enough. Then go back into world. So we have map string number over the string split for world data. And maybe that will give us what we're looking for. So world data. Let's see what the code does. I have to go back now to run this in the real project. So compile, we'll run the previous command. Let's see what we got here. All right, premature end of expression, probably in world 33. Okay, yeah, the let is busted. This should be wrapping those body expressions. Undefined variable string to number. We're gonna pull in mesh string here. Undefined variable world data. Where? 31? Oh, wow. Yes. World string. My fault. All right, I think that's it. It's kind of hard to tell because it's being wrapped, but I think it's right. Finally, we have the data in there. Jeez. That was... How long was that? That's probably 2-3 hours total. Okay. So now let's get rid of this because we know we have it. And then we will return world data. Okay. Now, world 1 is in game.msc world 1, I think. There's world 1. Define world, create world. We're going to say world data. Great. Oh. Interesting. Let's go back into string. Take out this whole pushing mess. Take out this mess. Don't need any extra prints. Now something crashed. I need to make sure that I find out what that is. Undefined variable tiles, line 49, probably in world, line 49. Tiles, world, tiles, tiles. Tiles. What do you mean undefined variable tiles? It's being defined right here. Oh, world. That makes sense. Hey, all right. Now, after all that pain, finally, you can see that there's a little room here in the game world, and it corresponds exactly to the world text here. So it's the little shape, basically where the room has a little door coming out. So now maybe we can continue making some edits to that. No, not there. Just make a little map. I don't know. It'd be nice if it was easier to replace some things. I bet in evil mode there's a way to do this that's a lot faster. than what I'm doing right now. But we're just sort of painting in a little level here. I don't really have a specific goal in mind other than to make something that looks interesting. So let's do a little alcove there. Maybe a little secret passage type deal. Since you see me doing the work here to put this together, you've got an unfair advantage compared to other people who are going to play this, if they ever play it. Probably won't. Okay, so we'll run it and see what that looks like. All right, that's kind of cool, right? Looks like something. All right, so not really much rhyme or reason to all this. Not very easy to edit. But that's okay for now. So just to make this a bit more interesting, how about we try to get a player on the screen? So that will be kind of a redemption for all of the effort we put into this so far. Obviously, I could drop a player wherever I wanted. But I think that when you start in this game, there's going to be a predefined map or a set of 3 or 4 maps. Maybe we just try to make them all up as we go. And the placement of the player, when the player starts the map, should be random. So they should end up anywhere. And the placement of items and other entities should also be random, I think. So also, I think that maybe the positions of certain things will change because the theme of this Ludum Dare compo this time is every 10 seconds, or changes every 10 seconds. Is that what it was? Let me go back to my notes because I actually mentioned it there. So org. Every 10 seconds. That's all they say. Every 10 seconds. So we have to be able to do something every 10 seconds while the player is playing. So first of all, let's get the player on the screen. Maybe make it possible for them to move around, and then we can decide where to go from that. So player.msc, define module erratic player. Sounds like me. Won't pull anything in. Whoa, won't pull anything in just yet. And we'll define a record type. You know, I want to use classes for this. I intend to use classes for this, but let's just make some progress first, and then maybe we can switch back to that, because I still need to do a little work on classes and methods to make them work properly. The map will not change every 10 seconds. The position of things in the map, the shape of the map will not change in one playthrough. It's going to be one fixed map, and the goal would be maybe to pick up some certain object. But as you're going through and trying to dodge obstacles, the position of that object might move somewhere else entirely in the map. So you have to be fast to try to catch where it ends up the next time. There's really not going to be much strategy to it unless I make there be some mechanic around it where you can kind of tell where it will end up next. So you can decide whether you want to move toward the next position or continue trying to go for it in your current position. Yes, it would be insane if the whole map changed every 10 seconds. That would just drive the player nuts. All right, so define record type player. Fields X, Y. Yeah, classes would be super cool for this because I could do inheritance. I mean, I can use classes without, well, I'm thinking about it. Let's get a player on the screen and moving, and then we'll try to tackle classes, okay? Because then it could give us some interesting things to look into. That was part of the reason for me to do this compo right now, is I wanted to use the new features of Mesh, but I didn't fully finish that one before the compo got here. All right, X, Y. That's all we really need. I don't think that the player will have a weapon, or the player will be able to fight anyone. The player can pick up items. And maybe there's one specific item the player has to get to sort of quote unquote win. So really for now, all the player needs is an X and Y position. So I can say define render player, renderer player. And I need to know details about the map. Will it need a bag? Maybe, it might. Or like a, key ring, if you pick up a key to open a door, or maybe some kind of item to get past a particular obstacle. We probably won't get that far, but it would be kind of fun if we could do some of that. Okay. Or a list of items, yeah, definitely. So, let's just add it. Why not? Define, create player. See, I don't like having to do this wrapper for the records, and that's one thing that we will get maybe for free-ish with a class implementation. You can have default values, so you don't have to worry about setting things up. You can just run make on the player class. That's coming. So create player X, Y. Oh, excuse me. X, Y, and we'll just leave that to be the case right now. Make player, make player, dude. Make player, X is X, Y is Y, and items is empty list. Now, for rendering the player, we're just going to render a little rectangle. This will be very reminiscent of last time where I didn't have any art because I can't draw, and I didn't have time to draw even if I wanted to. I could do something if I had time, but I never have time. As Mesh gets more sophisticated, when we do more of these game jams, I'm not going to be writing low-level functionality anymore. I'm going to be writing actual game code, and we're going to get further and further every time. That's going to be the fun thing. I'm going to keep doing these game jams because over time you'll see the progression from these, early days of just messing around and, writing string manipulation functions to then actually having like a full environment to develop a game in really fast. That will keep the Flux Harmonic channel going, because I think it's like twice a year at least that they do these Ludum Dare jams, and I'm going to do them. All right, here we go. So rendering a player, I need to know about the world because I need to know the details about the tile size to know exactly where to render the player. The easiest way to do that is just to say, the tile size, just pass it in. Because, oh no, let's do this. Got to render the player with respect to the world, so that you at least know the details of the world to render with. Seems a little overkill though. Like, tile size, just do that. I don't want to go overkill. So then, will the player's sprite just be a box? Yeah, for now. I don't have the ability to draw circles. I mean, I could try to hack up a little player sprite in GIMP. I could do that. Maybe I should do that, actually. Instead of writing code some this time through, I should actually make some art. I saw a really cool basic roguelike dungeon tile set that some actual artist made. I might take some inspiration from that and just hack something together. So I realize now I need not only the tile size, but I need the world size also. So I think I actually do need the world here, because I need to make some calculations based on or I have a function that I can pass through to get the let's see, world to screen. Let's call it that. All right, so I'll just call a function for that. Now, it will return a pair. So let position world to screen, player X player, player Y player. Now it will return a pair that I can use to draw the player to the screen. So let me go back to the world, and I'm just gonna steal this draw rect. I also need the offset, but I think that's fine. That's actually the responsibility of world to screen. So renderer, draw rect, renderer, really. Fikri asked, the player will be rendered spawned on the world data on string that the value is 0, right? Yes, that's true, because 0 represents the floor. And that reminds me, I need to answer your question from before. Where do I start if I want to learn Scheme? I'm a very practical person. Usually when I learn a new language, my goal is to build a backend API. Well, if you want to build a backend API in Scheme, definitely check out Guile Scheme, because it has a lot of HTTP server functions where you could do that type of thing if you wanted to. Other Scheme implementations may not have an HTTP layer, so Guile is probably the most practical and it's easy to use. So if you wanted to learn Scheme, I would definitely go with Guile. However, to learn Scheme, you can't go wrong with a book called The Scheme Programming Language, and the entire content of that book is free online right here. I've been reading this book recently, and it's really, really, really good. Just read this book. It will teach you everything you need to know about Scheme, and maybe you'll sort of start to see why I'm sort of so obsessed with it. This is pretty cool. All right. So first of all, we'll say car of position, and then we'll say cutter of position, because it's the pair that we're pulling things out of. Oh, still need tile size, don't we? Player color. Player color. Let's see. I got GIMP open still. Let's pull this up. Maybe I can get some kind of interesting color, like purplish kind of deal. A little bit brighter. That's pink. Let's go with that. Nah, it doesn't distract me. I was just trying to get through that really annoying thing before. So now that I got through that, I can, load balance a little bit better. Okay, so define player color RGB 77, 46, 82. I also need to do some imports here. So import substratic renderer. I think that's right. Okay, so I have player color. I need tile size. Let's just do that for now. So we have renderer, position, tile size, player color. That should be enough. I also need to go into game. Let's see. Maybe I'll scroll this text size down just a little bit. Text scale decrease. All right, that's a bit better for me. All right, so in... Come on. Move. Down, right there. Game. Text size is not lower. The default face. What? It didn't change anything. Oh, this shouldn't be here anymore. Doesn't exist. So we need to create a player also. So we have the world. Define player. That's going to be create player. Now we got to pick a location. And let me start the player off. Whoa. Right around here. So that would be what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So 3, 2. 3, 2. Hopefully that will put the player in the right location. So now I have a player. To update the game, we're not doing anything yet, but we render the world first, and then we can render the player. Renderer. World. Wait, where's the tile size? Because I'm passing it in somewhere. let's do that. Define tile size is 64. We'll pass this in directly. Then we can reuse it down here and not have to look it up. Tile size. Lambda, x, y. We also need, this may be a function that the world needs to provide. So define world width is 34. World height is 18. And we can go and drop these in right here. World width, world height. Maybe I can, excuse me, drop these lines down a little bit. Cool. So now we have player, position 3-2 by default. Just hard coding it a little bit. And, you know, maybe there's a special number inside this list, like 2, which would indicate the player start position. But it would be a little bit more interesting, I think, if the player had multiple start positions. But then again, I could possibly have like a 2 here and a 2 here and go through that list of positions that I find while mapping through it and then pick one of them. So there's a few ways we could go about this where the locations can be crafted for at least a player start position, and then other item positions could be in any number of places. And we could also mark those around with like a 3 or a 4, like any possible item location, so that the game doesn't have to like think about where to put something. They can sort of be crafted, I guess you could say. We can craft the locations for everything. So this needs to calculate things right. Let me also go back and let's undo. Yeah. I was looking to do renderer, player, world screen, tile size, world to screen, and then tile size. So player needs to be here. Render the player. Render the game world. So then to calculate the position, it's actually very simple. It's just going to be a const of tile size. Whoa. Tile size times x. Right? So it's just that. Is that right? Is that really all it is? Because if it is, then this is not really needed. Because we need the tile size to know how big to draw the character. Okay, I'm convincing myself I might not need this right now. I might change my mind, so we can make things very simple as a result of that. So x times tile size. Oh, no. This needs to take into account the centering. That's the reason why I did that. Okay. Back it up, back it up. All right, so const x times tile size, but we need the offset of the world also. So world y, I need to copy that offset. So the world pixel width, basically, yeah, world x, world y. Okay. That's basically the 0 position for the game board, so we're going to add that in. Cool, cool, cool. World x plus that, and then we will do the same thing for y, and hopefully this will render just fine as soon as I throw it on the screen. So x and y, we return a const pair. Render player is being called. It ought to draw the rectangle in the right location. Create player has not been exported. Okay, here we go. I did not import player yet. I think that's the problem here. Player. Render player undefined variable, also not exported. These are really simple problems. Every time I see something like this, it makes me think how I can improve the language or the tooling to avoid these problems. Okay, look, we have the little player rectangle here. I actually want this to not be the tile size. I want it to be a little bit smaller so that it is more interesting looking. Because it just looks like a little square moving around. I mean, obviously it's going to look like a square because it is a square, but you know what I mean. Player, let's just close this, go to player. And then we don't want it to be fully tile size. Let's say... should it be like 3/4 of the tile size? Tile size. Okay, let's do this. I don't want to be calculating that more than once. Player size. Calculating this every frame is also terrible. So it's going to be minus. Tile size minus. No, can I just do a multiplication on that? 0.75 or even 0.8. Why not? So plus the position of the cell. I'm trying to think of the right way to center it in the tile without having to do too many calculations in line. I mean, I have the position 0.2. So plus car position times tile size 0. Okay. Let's do that. Player offset. This is the remaining bit. So tile size 0.2. Yeah. I think that's right. Player offset. A little bit of math here. And that is not needed anymore, I think. No. Player size. That's right. Player size. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, I think that's probably correct. So now we want to implement some movement keys so we can move the player every time you press a button. And one of the things I said earlier in the first stream is that part of the design of this game... Wow, my video gets very choppy when it's running. One aspect of the design of this game is that nothing happens in the game until you make a move. So you press a movement key and then all the other entities in the game will move, except for the 10-second factor. So whenever 10 seconds occurs, then things in the game world will change. So there's sort of two things happening in that regard. If you've ever played NetHack before, it's very similar to that, where nothing happens until you move. Gives you a little bit of time to think, strategize, that sort of thing. So to implement movement, we're going to need to have some input handling. And I don't know if any of you saw the first stream, but part of what I was doing in the first stream was making sure I was garbage collecting the input events correctly, because apparently I wasn't before. It was leaking memory like crazy. Okay, so we'll go back and look at the old LD50 game that we worked on, if any of you remember this. I know Alejandro was there. Input. Handle prompt input. Where is all of our input handling? I know we have substratic input. I think I made some kind of controller class. Text, scale, adjust. All right. That needs to go into Substratic, I think. Actually, it doesn't because it's very simple now. Hello to Rukboto. That's how you pronounce your name. All right, we got 6 people watching on YouTube and 5 on Twitch. That's awesome. Yes, there were more than one fun debugging parties this morning. So it's very typical Flux Harmonic stream, I think, which is great. I mean, that's the whole point, right? We just come here and just try to slog through whatever technical problems we run into. If we end up in a case where there's no technical problems to figure out, it might get very boring for me. Okay, so input. Let's go and pull in Substratic input. I'm gonna have to remember how all this stuff works now because I haven't used this library in a while. Input. I have the input state. Okay. So I need input state. Input event take. Okay, handle input events. I just need to copy this little thing here. Let's say that main of the new game does this. The old game, handle input events. Where's that being called? That's in game updater. So probably we need that. Anywhere we got to deal with input, we do handle input events. And we'll see how that works when I copy paste this into the new game. Okay. Here, we init the game, define handle input events. So we got the next, oh, okay, this is like the loop. So we read an input event using an input event take against the input state object. If there's an input event, then we're looking at the game state. Probably they should go to a current handler for the state. And this is a place where the generic method stuff that I've been implementing would be very nice to have, because we could have one sort of like handle input method that multiple implementations get added into, and we don't have to do some of this extra wiring that I'm doing. So if equal game state, current state playing, handle controller input, prompt input, input event. Okay, so that's sort of like the general dispatch right here. Is either you're playing or you're not playing. And then you loop to grab the next input event. Cool. So for our cases, we would probably just interject. Well, let's just be real simple. Right here, we're going to do something. I got to figure out what that something is. Probably it's going to be calling into a handler for the current game state. So update func. I think update func probably should call here. Let's do this. Find main renderer. Yep. And then I'm going to copy the contents of this function into it. So let's just go and drop this lambda inside. And then just get rid of the lambda part. Pull this down. Okay. Then I can just pass in main renderer directly. And the same thing for the update function. I'm going to go, whoa. I'm going to go and define a main updater. And I think time delta is the parameter there. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So I need to not only call current updater, I also need to call handle input events. And it has game as a parameter. Don't really need that. So that will do the loop to process all the input events for the game. And we need to remember how to read those. So if I go into silent siphon, oh, not collision, input. So there's a controller here, which I don't need because that's only for like an active or an action game where you have to have like more complex controller handling. I mean, this is pretty nice. Okay, input event key down, input event. So input key code. Well, hello. Thank you very much. I am DevNull for the raid. I've never had a raid before on Twitch, I don't think. Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you very much for the good luck as well. Good luck to you. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we have the input key code. These are things that are actually defined in the library. We're gonna use the WSAD commands or WSAD bindings for that. Let me check how I'm using this key mappings. So I'm looping over the key mappings. I have them bound to certain commands. I just check equal on the key code, input event key code. All right, so that's pretty simple. Let's just go rewrite this because I'm not supposed to be copying and pasting a whole lot of code. And I'll go back into, I believe it was main. Let's just do some really simple stuff here. We've got an event in hand. I need to make sure this is a keyboard event. So pair mappings. So if it's equal to input event key code. Okay, so probably there's no key code if it's not a keyboard event, okay? Probably good to have a list for that to do this kind of operation because I don't have a cond expression or case expression yet. So define key bindings list. So we're gonna bind W. Now let's do this as a list kind of situation. All right, whoops. I want it to be a pair. So we're kind of binding keys to specific events. So for W, it's like a move up event, move up. And these are kind of events that we will send to the game, I think. So player move up. So we can do SAD. So S would be down. And then A is left and D is right. And that's all we really have right now. I mean, maybe we also need some kind of action key for maybe opening a door. I guess we could say E for that, maybe. But maybe we don't even need that. We just touch things and then the right stuff happens. So here we have key bindings. Now, I think I have like a mem_p function that can run through a list with a predicate, lambda key. Space for actions. Yeah, if we need actions, we'll definitely use something like space or E, I think. So lambda key, or maybe it's binding. How does mem_p work? Can I go to core MSC? Mem_p. There's a test and a list. So we loop through each item of the list. We run the test on the car value. Okay, cool. So that's, we don't have to decompose the binding. It literally is just a key at this point. So if equal key to input event key code. We also need to check if it's a certain key state. I want to say that We shouldn't worry about key repeats. We should only do something when the player releases the button. Oh, maybe just when the button is pressed initially. Okay, so input event key code. Okay, input event key code for input event. If they're equal, then what does memp return? Memp will return the footer of the rest. Wait, no. Car of the rest is the pair. Okay, that's my bad. Binding. So the car of the key. Actually, this is wrong. I don't want to use memp for this. I need to actually return. Ah, you know what? I think this is what I need. This asq function. Associate, I think. All right, so if and input key, sorry, event key state for input event. Let me check that again. State? No. I guess it doesn't matter. Is it key up or key down? Input event key down. Okay, cool. That's what I want. That right there. If this is a key down event and asq does it return the actual item? So where is core? If it's equivalent, return the car of rest. Oh, it's doing the car of rest. Jeez. Okay. That's all good. Looking only at the key value. Is that right? Yes. It returns. Yes, it returns the pair. Okay, great. That's what I would hope. The key of the car, yes. All right, so asq is input event key code. So we just look for that key code in the list of bindings. Input event. Actually, let action or event, let's say. I don't know. Action's fine for now. We're doing an and here. It will return false if it's not a key down event. And then if it is a key down event, it will try to look up what the binding is. So this will actually tell us what the binding is. Binding. Is there a benefit on A list over P list? P lists, well, not really, I guess. I mean, I think A lists are just so ingrained into Lisp culture that a lot of the built-in commands or functions are made for A lists. All right, so if we have a binding, so if binding, then we want to send that action onto the game. But at least for now, we can say display the action is, make this a begin, display cooter binding. Nope. Okay, and then we'll get rid of the rest of this part, because that's not necessary anymore. Probably just delete it. Okay. And this is going to be outside of the if. It needs to happen no matter what, because we want to keep processing events. This might be a cool place where a channel could come in, where I'm passing like events to the game engine over a channel, but I feel like it's maybe a little bit over for right now. Still, there's no format in mesh. Nope, there is not, because it's been low priority. I'm getting to a point now where I could add it, though. I really need it, because I keep having to write stuff like this, and it's a nightmare. So if binding, then we're going to write out what the binding is. So we've got a set of bindings already that we should be able to try. So let's try that out. Key bindings. Am I actually looking? Okay, I didn't put key bindings right there. Let's see what happens. All right, crashes immediately. I probably did something stupid. Main renderer expected keyword. Main renderer. Ah, thank you. Main updater. Okay, whoop. Expected 1 arguments but got 0, line number 62. Oh, okay. The function got a little bit messed up there. Okay, now let's try to press D. Nope. Maybe I forgot to call the input handler. Handle input events. Okay, let's actually take a look at what we're getting out of this. So define handling input. Input. And then I can say next event here, maybe. Let's see what that does. Hey, Myvar. Nice to see you. I keep writing define for display. All right, there's a lot of input events. I think it's from all the mouse stuff. Huh. It's constant. Why so many? Doesn't seem right. Oh, that's why. It's because I'm not even in the right place. Okay. Now let's see if so many show up, because I don't think there's that many. Handling input. Oh, okay, so there is next event whenever I move the mouse, but that's it. Okay, so oops, the input handler is seeing things. Now we just need to figure out why this is happening. So display input event key code input event. And then display new line. Okay, let's see what kind of key codes we're getting here. Okay, it's, you know, it's doing stuff. Ah, okay, this is the problem. I'm not actually unescaping things correctly here, so... And this is not formatted correctly. I don't even know, can I do... What did I do in the other thing? Input.msc. How did I set up my bindings? Okay, literal constants. That's probably the smart path, because I don't have the right stuff for that right now. Okay, so const. Man, it's just like coming right out of my fingers. As soon as I type cons, it's const. And player move up. These are going to be symbols. So let's just put a little tick on those. Whoops. Now let's see what it does. Okay, cool. It worked. So let's take out the printing for that. And then we should just be able to see the action. Down, right, up, left. That is consistent with what I'm expecting to see. Perfect. Excellent. Now, I just need a way to handle this event in the game. So we'll just pass an event to the game. The game can have a function called something like define handle input, or let's see, handle event. I don't know. And for now, at least, event can just be a symbol. So if equal event. Yeah, I don't want to do some nasty nested if, but for now it's probably good enough. Let's just do it this way. So if event is player move up, then we want to move player. Oh, come on, Lispy. Move player. And the delta would be +1. So if I were to do that again, if it's moved down, it's going to be, no. Move up is -1. We got to make sure that we're within the bounds of the world, though. So maybe we need pass in the world as well, sort of like as a secondary thing, so that we know what the boundaries are. All right, so we're moving negative, moving positive, drop another in, move left. Left is going to be a -1 and 0. Come on. And then this one, we'll slurp that in. This is going to be move right. Okay. That should work. I just need to have a move player. We got an export here. We don't really need this. Okay, the only thing we need update game for is checking the time delta. So to do check for whether 10 seconds has passed. That's the thing we need to do. So let's go back into main, and where we're writing out what the action is, instead of just writing that out, we're instead going to call handle event, let's say handle game event. And whoops, I should have kept the cooter binding part at least. Okay, this is going to be handle game event, and that's done. So does the if statements need to be inside the other ones? That's actually a good point. They do not. Not necessarily. So we could potentially not have to deal with the nesting. That is a good point. I'll leave it in the ugly nested situation for right now. Okay, so we also need in the player module, let me adjust this back to the original size. Render player, okay, we also need a move player, so define move player, player, delta X, delta Y, and world. And we have world so we can make sure that we don't run outside the bounds of the world when we move. Erratic. Oh, we also need to check for walls and stuff too. I didn't think about that. So I think the player class should not do that. Yeah, who should be responsible for checking the player is gonna bump into a wall? Maybe. Maybe the world has a function that says if the move is valid, or if it's a wall or not. Yeah, if the position that you're moving to is a wall, then you can't move there. Otherwise, all right. We're pulling in erratic world. I'm trying to avoid raycasting. No, we're not gonna do that right now. We would have to do raycasting for a visibility algorithm to see if the If an enemy can see the player somewhere, but I don't know if we'll get to that. It might be a very dumb visibility algorithm. If there is one. Okay, so we were working on move player. Yeah, I start to wonder if maybe this is the appropriate place for this. Because what I really want is in game, when we want to move the player somewhere, we need to check that position to see if it's a wall or not before we allow it to happen. I'm having a few different ideas at the same time right now. Okay. So maybe I'll just have a function in world. Read world data, pixel width, pixel height. It's all rendering functions. Define world is wall, or maybe position is wall. X, Y, and oof, man. This is the place where not having an array be the data structure is not so great, because you'd have to loop through the whole list to find it. If checking for walls, wouldn't they be better to split the if statements? Maybe. We'll look at that in a second. So world X, Y. So we can do the dirty work of looping through the list. I think I already have something for that here, don't I? When rendering, I'm already calculating the map X, map Y. Horrible though. But that's fine. Let's just go with it. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time. It's pretty slow moving the whole thing, so maybe it's not a big deal. All right, so we don't need tile size. We need max X, max Y. Tiles, sure. Yeah, we do need that. So map X, map Y. If equivalent map X, max Y. I mean, Alejandro does bring up a good point. Can I just calculate the index? I don't have a list ref function. However, that is not so hard to write. That's a good point, actually. Maybe that's much easier. So I can actually go in a core and write a list ref function. I have plist ref, but maybe we need a define list ref. LST index. Let's export that. So we're gonna let loop remaining LST current 0, and we're literally just gonna run through and say if current is less than index, loop, and we're gonna cutter the remaining list, and then we're gonna add 1 to current. Otherwise, if we're equal to current, then we are going to return the cutter of remaining. And also we need to make sure we have a valid index. So if null remaining Maybe. Yes, I did. Thank you. So if the remaining list is null, which means it's an empty list. I wonder what Guile does in this case. Let's go back into vterm, Guile, list ref, list 1, 2, and I'm going to list ref index 3. Argument out of range. It actually throws an error. That's probably the sensible thing to do. So display argument out of range to do use error, because I don't have error handling at the moment. I need to add that very soon. First, check for viability, check for length. I think first I need to make sure that there actually is a list to process, because the length, I don't want to check length because there is no length. If I wanted the list length, I have to loop over the entire list to find the length. That's the reason why we're doing it this way. We just look at each const pair individually, and if we hit the end of the list, then we're going to hit this null case. So if you give me an empty list, or we hit the end of the list, then we're going to find this null first. Then if it's not null, we need to go to the next step, which is checking the current index. So if current is less than index, we keep looping by taking the coulter of remaining and then incrementing the current index by 1. And then if current is equal to index, we return the remaining items, because that is the index we're looking for. So if the index is 0, then if current is less than index, current would be 0, this would be 0, so that would mean that this fails, which gives us coulter of remaining. No, I think that's remaining, because that would be wrong. So index 1 would be the coulter of the first list. Okay, I think this is right. Okay, now we can get back here, and instead of doing all this madness, we can do a much simpler thing, which is list ref plus x times y times the world height. Where's that world height? Yeah, okay, so world height of world, multiply y times the, oh, no, wrong. It needs to be times the columns, world width. So the number of columns times y, so if it's y of 1 times whatever the width is, 20, 1 times 20 is plus the x position. So that would give us the right location inside the list. And then 0 and 0 would give us 0. So list ref is good enough. So we can use list ref to see what it is. And they are numbers, so I can check equal 1. 1 is a wall. Okay, so now we have a check we can use for that. Then back in game, so instead of calling move player, what I could do is return the delta to be used. So let, well, we have to sort of know. Let me think about this for a second. Are these the only types of events we're going to receive? No, probably not. So I can't just make this only about movement. Player could do that check, but I think player shouldn't do that check. It's not the player object or player type's responsibility. So we're trying to move up, we need to first check that the position define calculate new position player delta x delta y. So we will return a const of plus player x player delta x. I don't know if this is too generalized and not really that helpful, but we'll stick with it for now and then we'll decide what to do. Just trying to think my way through the best way to shortcut this whole thing. So new position. And then here we'll say calculate new plus. Player 0, 1. It will give us the actual position in the game world. This is going to be 0 and 1. This is going to be -1 and 0. And this is going to be +1 and 0. So then all of this logic will eventually boil down to either a const pair or a nil. So what we're going to do is check that. So if pair new position, then we can say world, what was it called? World position is wall. And the parameters are world and XY. World car of new position and cooter of new position. We're going to do a little if check on this. So if the position is wall, then don't allow it. Maybe I should do the not. So if it's not a wall, I guess if it is passable, maybe the better way to name that function so I don't have to do the negation, because I'd rather not have an extra instruction if I don't need to. So, but saying it's passable implies some things. Okay, let's actually do that. Let's do that. Is there more logic needed here? All right, so now I'm going to change this to 0. Okay, so now position is passable. Maybe I can just say is passable here and not have that toss in there. So is passable. World new position. If it's passable, then allow the new position. I'll just set that position on the player. So begin player X set player car new position, and then same thing for Y. And this is going to be the cooter. Okay, now with all of this done, we might be able to see some player movement. Let's see if it is going to work. Let's see what happens. Crash. Why not move? I might not need it. I've already got all the information I need here. So all I need to do is just set the position. Line 15. Who knows which file it's talking about? Not this one. Could be world. No. Which files have I been editing here? Oh, haven't checked in anything yet. I should be checking stuff in. Okay, after I get this working, I'm going to check the code in because it's been way too long now. Line 15. Can't be core. So then what is it? Oh, yes, it is here. Okay. All right, let's see if we can move the player. S. Okay. Undefined variable handle game event. I think I did not name something correctly in game.msc. Handle. Handle game event. There we go. We'll try it again. Pressing S. Okay. World is passable. World is passable, is not exported. Pressing S. Expected 2 arguments but got 1. I bet that's a very stupid thing I did. Equal event. That's okay. Maybe this is in world. So 40. Yeah. World width, world. Oh, list ref. Yes, I did not give it an actual list to do the ref on. So world, what is it? Tiles? World. Okay. Hilarious. Okay, let's go. Now maybe. Press S. No. Operands must be numbers. Line 97. Must be in game. 97. No. Which file are we in? Oh, okay. Maybe it's in, core. Maybe? Yeah, very likely. Current and index. Current is 0. Oh, I got it backwards. So, Guile list ref. What order are the parameters in? List and then the index. Okay, so I've got it right in the definition here. I'm just not calling it right in list ref. Yeah, this is backwards. Is this the one that's gonna work? Let's press S. It didn't crash. So at least it doesn't crash. I don't know why it's not actually doing something. Here's what we can try to do. Go in a game, write out what this new position is. So again, display, new position. Now, that seemed right. It's given the right numbers. So I wonder if it's just this passable deal that is not actually calculating things correctly. So instead, I'll do, whoops, what am I doing? Paste that in. We'll just run that function again and see what it returns. It's probably returning nil every time. Yeah, okay. So then we got to figure out why it is not happy. So go into world is passable. Probably list ref is not implemented correctly. Display list ref. Display and then display new line. We'll see what the list ref returns. Okay, it's giving me a list. Oh. That's because I'm making a really dumb mistake. I should be looking at the car of list ref. And not only the car, I need to see if it's not... First, I need to check if it's a pair and then look at the car. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with problems. So I'm going to have a result here. I can take the list ref and then and pair result. And then we'll throw this equal in there. So if the result is a pair and the car of the result is 0, then it's passable. So maybe this will work now. Oh, there it is. He's moving and he doesn't walk through walls. Fantastic. The offset is a little bit wrong on the rendering, I think. Okay, so I can actually get through corridors, which is great. Yeah, I don't have Let's Star in Mesh yet, and the reason why is because I don't have macros to write the appropriate expansion of Let's Star, because Let's Star is effectively nested Let's when you boil it down to what it actually is in Scheme. All right, so we can actually move through the world. That's a great accomplishment for the period of time. Lovely. I think I know why the offsetting is wrong. So let's go to player 0.2. This should actually be 0.1 because it needs to be half of the remaining tile size. So that was just a mistake on my part. That looks right. That's pretty cool. We can actually walk through the dungeon. No problem. No seeming issues there. As long as the map is well designed and there's always a border on the outside, then we shouldn't have any trouble. Now, we can't hold the key down and have it move around, but maybe that's better because holding it would cause a lot of actions to happen in the game world. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's say we've got about 30 to 40 minutes left right now because I have to go help my family make dinner in a little bit. So if I were to implement something in the game to make it more interesting, what could it be? Is it going to be the 10-second issue, or is it going to be implementing, well, maybe an enemy or some kind of some kind of entity that is wandering around, because what we need to see is the game world sort of advancing every time the user presses a button. So not only am I moving the character, I'm also going to activate all the other entities that have logic. Cremevis asks, what engine is this? This is my own engine called Substratic, but it's also my own programming language based on Scheme, my own compiler, my own VM. So it's like a full end-to-end stack, which is why you see me struggling with very simple things a lot of times, because there's a lot of stuff I haven't implemented yet, so I have to write it in real time, which today we did. We wrote string splitting, substring functionality, garbage collection for input events. So a lot of low-level stuff that had to happen for this to actually work. All right. So I want to have some other kind of entity. I don't know that I would call it an enemy per se, but it's something that can disrupt your day, can ruin your day. So maybe it's an enemy after all. But these enemies or these entities need to have different logic. So, one might, aggressively pursue the player on sight. One might just be wandering around and just get in your way by accident. Alejandro says, I think you first need to make the items and decide how to make them and represent in the map or in the view. Yeah. I mean, it's less interesting, but maybe tomorrow we'll have more time for entity logic, and maybe I can get the class stuff online, and that will make things a little bit more fun because we'll have generic methods we can play with. So, okay, items. I think I'm good with items, so let's go with that. So if we're in a cave, this game is called Erratic Cavern. So it's like in a cave, which is sort of the dungeon in this situation. Maybe you're some kind of adventurer looking for a particular treasure. And the thing about this cave is that it's very erratic, and the treasure position keeps moving around every 10 seconds as you try to get through the cave. And you have to dodge other enemies or traps or anything like that to get through. So maybe the combination of having the actual item that you need to pick up and having it move its position every 10 seconds would be interesting. I think one thing I need to do when I load up the world data is I need to make a list of all possible positions where the item can be. Alejandro says, you're in a cave in the Matrix and every 10 seconds you have a glitch. Yeah, something like that. So that we can really efficiently pull like a random number and just pick a location and just put it there instead. Now, obviously that means that the random number could just put it right next to the character if the player, if the player is in a position where the random number gets picked. I mean, maybe what we do is, you know, if the position is within some radius around the player, we just eliminate it. That's a possibility. Yeah, that's probably a good thing to do. Like, it has to be some distance away from the player. So that you would just keep randomly selecting a position until you find one. Maybe we should write that down. Let me write down that logic. I don't have no, I only have a list. I mean, I have an array. I can make an actual matrix through arrays, but you know, this is a Lisp, so we're using lists. Okay. Even if I use an array, it wouldn't solve the problem, though, I think. So erratic cavern design. Every 10 seconds to comply with the theme of this compo, we will implement the 10 seconds behavior. What was that? Okay, Jacob just subscribed, or Jacob, and it gave a really weird event. I've never heard that sound before. We are in the list indeed, that's right. Implement the 10 seconds behavior as... like so. This is a simple statement I need to make here. I'm sort of making it out to be more than it is. The target item position will be changed to a new random location somewhere that is passable on the map or a specifically marked item location. The position also must be some distance away from the player's current position so that it isn't inordinately easy to win. Okay, that's what we'll say for now. So for the item, how do I want to represent this? There could be multiple items. I mean, not only could there be like the chalice that you're looking for, if that's what it is. I mean, maybe it's something more interesting than chalice because that's way too cliche. But there could also be things that you might need to use, like a key to get through a particular door. Maybe there's always one door that's locked and you need the key to get there. And maybe even the key position changes because maybe the key randomly gets placed behind the door that it opens and you have to wait for the key to pop out and go somewhere else. That could actually be pretty cool. So maybe all items get randomized. Maybe enemy positions get randomized too. Any of that could be pretty interesting. It could be pretty cool if the enemy position gets randomized such that it shows up right next to you. Then you have to escape. Okay. Cool. So let's make an item.msc file. Find module erratic item. This naming strategy is very appropriate, I think. Define record type item. Alejandro says, do you have a full view of the cave at all times, like from the beginning and every 10 seconds you glitched? Yeah, that's the way it's going to be because we don't have time to implement like a visibility algorithm to black out the parts you can't see. So yeah, you'll just see the whole thing. It's a very simple game. Fields, that kind of item that it is. Color, because different items might have different colors. And then we need an X and Y position. X, Y. Okay. So define render item. It's gonna be real simple. We're just gonna put this together so that we get something on the screen, and then maybe the character can pick it up. We'll have to see about it. So render item, renderer item, and what are we doing for rendering the player? We need to see about that, because it's going to require a similar type of logic. So maybe we can just sort of steal what I did for the player here. Do that, and delete that whole bit. Throw this up there. Okay. No, that was not what I wanted to do. I need world screen and tile size. Okay, so do this, delete, delete, actually delete the whole thing. Okay. Whoa, what just happened? And position, world to screen, item X. Item, well, here, let's do this. Let's do a little search and replace. Player to item. Yes, 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 yes. Now, the offset could be different, and the color could be different per item. So we're gonna have to look those things up. For now, we'll just say, all item sizes will be the same. Let's just say that is gonna be the case too. So define item size. Similarly to what we did for the player, we can say, oh, that's inside. Okay. Item size, we're going to make it a bit smaller. So 6, and then we make the offset 4. So that, there's some distinguishment between it and the character. Yes, exactly. Alejandro says the size should be different from the player. Because we have no other way to distinguish things, we need to make it, distinct in terms of size. So now we have the ability to draw an item. We need a way to set the color. So define create item, and then X, Y, kind, color. I guess you don't need that, but I'll do it anyway. Make item X, X, Y, Y, kind, color. This is not what I want to be doing, but this is sort of the way that it all shakes out right now. So we have what we need to define an item. We also need to pull in the import substratic renderer module. And let's just drop one item into the world. So we're not going to do anything fancy. We're actually, the world should have a list of items. But does the item refer to the world? No. Okay. Yeah, the item should not have a reference to the world. We have a circular module dependency issue in Mesh. I'm trying to avoid having any kind of circular module references. So let's go into... I'm trying to think of the right place to put this item management. Obviously, the world is the one that has the list of items, at least at the moment, because there's entities. Is there a separate items list, perhaps? Shaking the desk. So entities might be active entities. Maybe it doesn't matter. Let's just go with items. So we're creating the world. Maybe we have like a world add item kind of situation. So define world add item. World item. I'm trying to think if that's appropriate though. The game kind of does have to do that, so let's go with this for now. What we'll do is world items set cons item world items world, and then this also needs world here. Actually, it needs world first. So we're going to put world right there and then drop that down and join that line. Okay. That will add an item to the world. And when the world gets rendered, we also have to render the items in the world. So for all of those, we're going to have to do that. Let's close this. So this is at the point of rendering. So an item cannot be in a wall, but actually we want to go after the whole loop of rendering the world. So if I go right here, then I can say render all items. And then I think, do I have a for each in core? For each? No. I have map, obviously. But I don't want to depend on the result of that. That's fine. Map. Render. Well, what does map take? Func first. Lambda. Item. Render item. Renderer item. Oh boy. Okay. So this function we've got right here. I'm reconsidering some of my data structuring here. Maybe world doesn't hold on to the items. Maybe world is only the world data. And the game holds on to the items. So define player, define world, define items. That's probably better. So let's take that stuff out of world. It just feels like it doesn't belong. Okay, so back in game, define items. I can make one, start with, but we need to put a thing to render. Render the player. Render the items. Okay, render item, and I also need to steal this whole function. Let's just actually define something for it. Define world to screen. Plus X. Well, let's just check this real quick. X and Y. Okay. X, Y. Get rid of the lambda parts. And then drop that back here. Now we can reuse this. Hold on. Why is it not balancing? Okay. So in here, this is going to be world to screen. And the item renderer will need the same thing. World to screen and then tile size. All right, so that should loop through all of the items. In fact, we need to go to the, I'm going to pass the items list into map for that. Okay. So we need an item in the list. So let's actually create one. I'm going to make this an actual list instantiation. Create item position. Let's take a look at our map. So I want to put the item right around, let's say right here. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 14 and 8. 14, 8. Was there anything else? I need a color, I think. So if I go to item, kind and color. So chalice, I don't know. Need a better idea for what the treasure could be. And then for color, RGB of, let's see, maybe something yellowish to convey the specialness. Yellowish, greenish, maybe. 92, 91, 14, or 93, 91, 14, let's call it. 93, 91, 14. I think the values I'm seeing here, when I put them in the game, they don't look right. All right, so we've got the item here. Maybe it will be rendered. Okay, create item. I need to pull in the item library. Create item, still not there, probably because I did not export it, of course. RGB. Which file I'm in? Okay, I never pulled in renderer here. I guess it wasn't needed. Renderer. Uh-oh. World X, line 59. Oh, okay, I see. I think this, well, I don't want to have the same lambda twice. So I really need let star because that would help me if I had let star, but there's no time to make that work right now. So here's what we're going to do. This is going to return a lambda xy. And we're going to change this up here. Offset x, offset y. This is going to be offset x, offset y. And this is going to be world x, world y. And so will this. It's not ideal. It's a little bit inefficient because I'm creating two closures that do the same thing. I don't think I can use a define in here either. It would be nice if I could, but I don't think I have the code set up for that right now. Maybe I do, and I just don't realize it. Let's try it. Memory leak. Oh, 59. Yes. My mistake. There it is. But that's not exactly where I expected it to be. Hello, hee 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 ho ho. All right, I meant for that to be over here somewhere. So let me think if I flipped the position somehow. I thought I was right. So it's supposed to be here, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 on X. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 14, 8. Did I not put that in? 14, 8. Did I mess up something in the initialization? Possible. Yes, I did. How about that? Process of elimination. Okay, it's exactly where it's supposed to be. It seems a little bit too close to the wall, actually. Let's go look at what the player looks like in relation to that. Yeah, that's not right. Yeah. So, thank you, ho. Sorry. It's one wall and two space. It's one wall and 0 is walkable. So if you look at the world again, you see there's all the zeros here are the floor and all the ones are the wall. So, you know, I could probably like make all this outside stuff gone so that it doesn't look like, whoops. And the spaces are just spaces. It's just so that you can parse them, I guess. So let's see what this looks like. Maybe we can make the map look a little bit nicer by doing this. Let's check that out. Cool, so I got a little space out. So if we wanted to make the map look a little nicer where there's like shapes instead of just, you know, big blob, then. All right. So then I wanted to fix the positioning of the item offset because I think this is wrong. Oh, it is wrong. In fact, this should be 0.2. Okay, yeah, that's right now. So let's go stand next to the item and see if it's the right size. Yeah, okay, that's better. All right, so we have an item on the screen. We can't really pick it up yet. So if I go onto the same position as an item, I guess I would need to check and see if I walked on to the place where an item is. So each time the player moves, maybe there's a function, excuse me, a function we need to call. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. So where is it? Where are we doing that? Right there. This thing needs to be a function call. So move player. Car new pass. Footer new pass. And I'll just steal this whole chunk right here and turn that into a function. And this function is going to move player. It's going to do a few things, not just move the player. So new X, new Y. Get rid of the begin. This could just be in the body. New X, new Y. Okay. So that will set the player position. Set the new player position. Check if we walked over an item. To do, check if we walked over a trap. To do, move all entities. So it's sort of like the pattern for what we're going to do going forward once we get some more things added into the game. So to check if we walked over an item, we just need to loop through the list of items. So it's not a map, it's more like a find. Let me see what I have in core for this so I don't have to write just a plain loop function. Memq, memp. So test R of the rest. If I find one, then it's going to return the remaining items. That's not really what we want, but it can do the job. So memp. If, yeah, that's a little bit risky, I think. How about we just do this instead? We're just going to write a plain old loop. Ugh. Let loop. Items, sure. And if and equal position X, okay, player X, player, item X, car items. Oh, and you also need to put player as a parameter here. Both are plural. Player. Yes, they're both. So the way that these loops work usually is that you have an original list, which is the outside items list. This is sort of in the global scope of this file. And then we have another binding that I'm creating that shadows this binding. You're not really supposed to do that. You can do it. It's totally fine. It works. It's just, you know, harder to track, I guess. So maybe I should just do... now let's leave it. So item X, car of items. And then also we need to duplicate the thing to do the same thing for Y position. If we're on the same X and Y position, then we can pick up the item. So display picked up item. Wow, how'd I get there? So if not, then we continue looping on the rest of the items list. So cdr items. Yes, so scheme loops are awesome. It's basically just a named let expression, and this loop label becomes a symbol inside of the body that you can use to call itself recursively. So the set of bindings that you set up here, so this is one binding here for this items variable. When you call loop, you just pass in the new values for all those bindings, and it's very, very straightforward, and you can do any kind of looping that you want. So I think it's pretty awesome. And we also need to check here if pair items. We need to make sure that we're still in a list. So maybe we could even, yeah, we could join those two if expressions together. So we have an and here already. I can do that, get rid of this outer if. I'm pretty sure. So if items is a pair and then equal player car items. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's run it and see if we can step on the item and write a, wow. New post typo. Okay. Of course. All right. So, come on. Line 75. Move player needs a player. Oh, come on. Okay. Still not walking. Cdr of a null value. Items. Something is not happy here. So item has to be a pair. Oh, wait. No, that's right. That's right. No. Okay. All right, here's the problem. I should have left that outside. Pair items. We don't want to do this until we know that we're actually dealing with a pair, because otherwise we're going to try to loop on that, and it's going to end up causing exactly the problem we just saw. And still doing something. Okay, line 49. This is a different problem this time. Pair item. No, items. There we go. This time it'll work. So we're going to walk right next to the item and then step on the same place. Yeah, it just writes the message every time. So what we could do, it might be appropriate to make it possible to change the items list as a result of what happens. So when you pick up an item, it should remove it from the items list, I think, so that it stops being processed. So this is almost like filtering the list. Move the item from game to player. Yeah, to do that. So add item to inventory. So then, let's see. Got about 10 minutes left. I think we can do this. We can make the item go away. Maybe we can add it to the player's inventory. We won't be able to do like an inventory readout until tomorrow probably, but we'll have a little UI at the bottom that says what items you've picked up, I think. So if I want to change this into basically a filter, then what I should do is I'll need a second list of the output items. Okay, so set items, and then this loop is what drives that process. This may need to get turned into a function because it's kind of a lot of stuff happening. Let's see. New items. How about that? I don't want to keep changing the order though, but I don't like append as a function because I think it's inefficient. Maybe it doesn't matter a whole lot. Alejandro says, every time an item is picked up, an enemy appears in the map. Once you picked up a set of items, an exit appears. That's kind of cool. I like that idea. Let's write that down. That's a nice idea. Ideas. Because that sort of increases the difficulty. Set of items is different on each level, possibly. Set of items is different on each level. The other thing you said was every time an item is picked up, an enemy appears in the map. Once you pick up a certain set of items, an exit appears. Yeah, some of that stuff could be pretty fun. I hope we get enough time to implement some of these things because, you know, we can make a cool little game, sort of like we did last time. I think the game that we did with Silent Siphon was pretty cool. Maybe we can do that again. Very, very simple thing. All right, we need to filter this list. So for whenever we step on the item, yes, what we will do here is const the car of items onto the new items list. All items are present from the beginning and shift every 10 seconds just as the enemies. Yeah, that's basically what I'm thinking is like all items will be visible so that you can kind of try to come up with a strategy, but every 10 seconds they just randomize on their position, which I think is kind of fun in a way. Okay, so on the loop, when we are at the terminal state, we need to return the new items. Loop has ended, return the new item. Okay, so then in this case, we picked up the item, but we need to return something here. And it's a little bit tricky because, all right, I think I can come up with a form for this. What just popped up on my screen? That was weird. Cons the cooter of items with new items. So return the full list without the current item. I guess the problem is there could be multiple items in the same position. So we might need to guard against that. You know, maybe let's just not assume that we're going to bail out. Maybe we'll just loop through the same way every time. So what about... We're going to have the same loop case. No, it's not the same loop case because we either include the current item or we don't. So, well, let's just do this. We'll loop through all the items every time. It's not going to be that often because it's whenever the player presses the button to move. All right, so this time we do not mess with the new items list. We just pass it through because we don't want to keep that. In fact, when I return new items, I can reverse it, which is a little bit inefficient, but whatever. It's maybe better than appending. I don't know. Okay, so let's try that. I see you, Alejandro. Thanks a lot for joining and being a part here. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Boom. Oh, it didn't remove it. Picked up item, loop. Almost there. We can make it happen. It's gonna happen. Loop, cooter, items, new items. Interesting that it didn't actually remove it. Interesting. We don't have to do that here. Okay, so loop passing the cooler of the items, which is the same as the other case, but this time we're not messing with the item list. It seems like that should have an effect. The items list should be different afterward. So let me print that list out. Where's that at? Oh. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so setting the items list as the result of the loop. If pair items is no longer a pair, then we just set the, yeah, okay, that seems right. So display items, display items, display item, or display new line. Okay, we see that one item is still there in the list. I keep walking, boom. Okay, oh, it did work. Thank God. Okay, so I'm not going crazy after all. Just to see one more time that we can actually walk over an item and pick it up. Boom. Oh, wait, hold on. That's very weird. Hold up. Okay. I'm gonna go back and print again. There's no way that printing makes that work. Dude, that makes no sense. Should I not have used items here? Am I doing something wrong? Huh. Okay. Let's say items remaining. Yes, no, no, yes, yes, yes. Yes, no, yes, yes, no, no. Okay. I don't know. Let's comment this part out and see if now it's any better. That's very strange. That doesn't make any sense. Printing should not have had an effect on this. Because we're not adding this item to the list again. So at the very end of the list, this should be nil. We pass nil into, or empty list into loop. We hit this point, and then it jumps down to reverse the new items, and reverse, or the new item should be null. I just try to like not do the reverse. Okay, something very strange is happening there, and I might have to investigate that tomorrow. Why is this necessary to make the item removal stick? Yeah, now it's gone. Very, very weird. But at any rate, I think we did pretty good, despite the fact that we had a lot of things that we had to figure out with the language over time. Hello to research enthusiasts. We still did make some progress. I mean, this is very, very, very basic, as you can see. But we will add some more things to it tomorrow so that it will be more like a game, so that you can go pick up the necessary items, and then we'll also do the 10 seconds thing where we randomize the positions of the items. So let's actually put together a list of tasks we want to do for the next day. So do I have a to-do list here somewhere? Let's get rid of that. Okay, important things. Add item position randomization. Fix the issue with item removal on pickup. Add entities that have logic on step. Integrate classes and generic methods, question mark. I think it should work if we spend a little time to fix that. What else? So item movement, and also can be randomized at the interval. We also, if it's a game, it needs to have an end state. So implement a win and lose state. So time limit. Another cool thing would be implement unlockable doors with key pickups. Implement traps that can end the game. Maybe be disabled with an item. Yeah, I think it's enough, right? That's probably enough interesting things to put in the game to make it feel like, okay, there's like some mechanics here that we've implemented, and you know, it could be a game if someone put enough time into actually completing it and making the art and music, etc. So it's a prototype. All right, so that's all the time that I have for today. So tomorrow I'll be streaming back again at the same times. So 6 a.m. tomorrow morning for me until 10 a.m. So about 4-hour stream in the morning. Let's see. Well, let's look at world clock. World clock. So it's almost 6 p.m. here. It's 5:30. So in UTC, that's almost 3 p.m. So it'd be 3 a.m. UTC. And then for New York time, it would be about 11 p.m. Is that right? Tomorrow? That'll be starting. And then in Seattle time, Pacific time, it'd be about 8 p.m., I think. So we'll be back tomorrow again at that time frame, and then we'll try to see how far we can get with the rest of this. I think we're in a good position now to just be adding game logic because we've figured out all the initial hiccups. Oh, another thing. Add a couple of more maps. Let's see, add 2 more maps. 2 more maps, finish the first map. And then add configurable player start and item locations. Yeah, okay. All right, so that's it. And I hope to see you again tomorrow there, research enthusiasts. Thanks for being here. So thank you all who came by today. Really appreciate all the support and the interest, and looking forward to getting back into it tomorrow morning. So until next time, keep it creative. See ya.